In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
Well, hello, Chadwick.
Hey, Frank, what's shaking?
Oh, just doing some more podcasting. We are here. We are another, he tried to say, pointless automotive podcast. That's both the name of our podcast, and it is what we are in actuality. And we're hanging up back at Car Park today. No longer in the world of Zoom purgatory. The Zoom episodes are over for the time being. And yes, Car Park in lovely, sunny Pleasanton, California.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so hat tip to the folks here at Car Park. That's car with a K. And for giving us a home from which to podcast from. We're in cool company today. What do we have in the background behind us here, Chadwick, today?
GT4 RS with just about every option box ticked, I believe.
Yeah, I think the sticker on it's like 200 something.
Chump
Low
change.
200s. It's quite nice and
amazing looking.
And so that's what we're doing. We're hanging out here, talking cars, talking stuff, and I think we wanted to lay down the gauntlet, have another bit of a automotive manufacturer grudge match.
These are fun, yeah, because we pick all kinds of different categories, and it's fun how we have these it's like a little grudge match between us about throwing our bets into the ring and seeing who's going to come out on top.
Kind of going down, picking a manufacturer and saying like who did it better, what are the highs and the lows from each, and who's going to come out on top of this grudge match? I wonder.
Who knows?
I think that should I just fire off the competitors today in this automotive grudge match?
Yeah, who's stepping into the ring?
Oh boy, two Godzillas, if you will. Well, maybe one's Godzilla and one's Mothra. I'm not sure.
Oh,
but two titans of Japanese industry.
Yep.
That would be Toyota and Honda. And this is fun because
it's a big matchup. Yeah.
Yeah, because we've done this in the past, not with these two manufacturers, but we've done a kind of a nod to each manufacturer. And I personally like both of these, and I've owned cars from both of these manufacturers, and they're kind of cool. I've personally got a soft spot for one manufacturer over the other. I don't know where you stand in this battle. Do you want to just
right down the line for most of these? But yeah,
I mean, how do we want to kick this thing off? Do we want to just start spitting out?
Yeah.
Like, hey, like this particular segment and like who did what better? Do you want to talk about them more in general terms? Like, I don't.
Either way, man. Either way we cut it. I think we should go general and specific because this is a pretty tight matchup. I mean, if we're talking the history of these two companies too, battling out here in the U.S., of course, we're not speaking about where they started because they have a way earlier history in Japan, obviously.
Sure.
But yeah, man, these guys have been perennial competitors. So.
I don't know, man. How about this? Let's just start general, and then we'll get in the nitty gritty. What do you
start with the boring stuff?
In my opinion, I would say if I was to choose like a peak year.
Did we say the two competitors?
We did, yeah. Toyota
and Honda in the U.S. market.
Correct.
Just to clarify.
Yeah, I think that would simplify things because both of these manufacturers make all kinds of interesting things that we never got here, even outside of JDM
That's a separate
stuff,
episode, right?
Yeah. So I would say if I was to pick, at least in my opinion, I think peak Toyota as far as a year. If you were to pick a calendar, particular year, I think peak Toyota is like 1988. Now there's some argument there. I would say because you had the end run of the 8086.
Sure.
You can get a turbo all-track Celica. Mm-hmm. The Supra Turbo with Mark III was alive and well. And it's blowing head gaskets, but alive and well.
Sure.
The first gen 4Runner, you had the FJ60 series Land Cruiser.
Yep.
You had that squared off the last year, the squared off Toyota pickup.
Right.
You had the AW11 MR2, and in '88 you can get the supercharged. Was the first year you can get the supercharged.
That's right.
Model. The general Corolla and kind of the more pedestrian offerings weren't quite as nice. I mean, the Camry was okay, but it was still good. It was good. Very competitive. Yeah. It wasn't the later generation like the 92 and up that I'm so fond of.
True.
But I think that's peak Toyota. What do you think peak Honda was?
Oh, it's tough.
It is tough.
It's kind of hard to.
I feel like you have to go early 90s because you're talking NSX.
Yeah, if you're going to rope that in.
Yeah, I think we kind of
EG Civics. I mean, it's hard. Yeah, 80s, 90s, Japanese bubble period. Both these companies, obviously, offering way more car for the dollar versus like domestic brands here in the States, right?
Yeah.
So, what did Honda have? NSX. They had CRV started up in the early to mid 90s.
Yeah,
which was a segment crusher.
Yeah, what 96, 97?
Yeah. And then how did that change the whole world, right? So we'll talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
Sports cars, I mean, obviously later, S2000.
Sure.
Right? Whereas Toyota didn't have an answer for that. So
I mean, you could probably make an argument that like 2000, 2001-ish might be peak Honda.
Kind of seems that
S2000,
way, right?
You've got late run NSX. The Prelude is still barely around and kicking.
Barely around, yeah.
You've got, you're into Integra Type R.
Odyssey.
Yeah. Well, the Odysseys probably were eating up automatic transmissions. But that aside...
But they were moving a lot of people, though.
Yeah, that could be it. That might be, their peak might have been later.
I think that's why it's tough like that, right? They go back and forth, these two. So let's break it down into some segments.
Yeah.
We'll start off, I like mundane first. So let's do daily duty. I kind of wanted to pit the Civic against the Corolla in like a mini match within a match. A little grudge match inception, if you will.
I think...
And this is a tough one.
It might be, it's probably like just like peer to peer. It's probably the most difficult. Because I think there were chunks of time where the Corolla was better. And I think there were chunks of time, like currently right now.
Oh, right now.
Right now, today, 2023. It's probably been the most difficult it's been in a long time when you start looking at the flagships, right? Because you've got the CTR, you've got the Civic Type R, and then you've got the GR Corolla.
Right. Two very different animals, but performance pretty similar. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got the more mundane offerings, right? We want to keep it in the stay in the lane of the mundane.
Keep it.
I don't know. I guess I'd probably rather have like a regular ass Civic versus a regular ass Corolla, but I don't know. You can get a hatch in the Corolla.
Yeah.
I guess you can get a hatch
kind of
in a Civic, but not in the SI. The SI is interesting.
SI is very interesting now.
But then if you go back, right? Like you've got
CRX.
You've got CRX, right? So that's the Civic CRX, the early ones. But then you also had like the AE86.
Correct.
And you had the
Corolla
FX,
XRS, baby.
XRS. You had the
FX16.
FX16 GTS was a hot hatch.
The old Civic SIs, like the EP from the early 2000s.
Dude, what about the Civic Wagano vans?
That's
We
true.
had like the 4-wheel drive, tall 4-door hatchback situation.
Because the Corolla didn't compete with that, right? They had the
Toyota had the Tercel 4x4,
one, which was almost the exact same as the Honda.
And initially, and I think Toyota did this a lot when they would launch a new model. They would call it like, so that was the Corolla Tercel. When the Tercel first came out, it was a spin-off of the Corolla, just like you had the Celica Supra, and you had the Camry Solara and the Corolla Cross, like you just said. They like to kind of take their time and spin it off. But yeah,
this is a tough one, man. So over its whole lifespan, those two nameplates, who do you give the nod to, Civic or Corolla?
I think I have to say, boy.
Yeah,
this is the hardest one. There's no
tough.
wrong answer. There's no wrong answer on this one. I think you have to say, I'm going to take Corolla in this one.
Really, I took Civic in this one.
I think because they've done it longer. Corolla was introduced here in 68, 69.
Yeah.
I think was the first year of the Corolla, and the first year of Civic was 73
or 4. Yeah. Very different animals from what they are today.
Yeah, and they were very different then, right? Like the Civic was much more of a smaller city car, front-wheel drive. I think the first year was a 1.2 or 1.3 engine, and it casually grew over the years.
Yep.
And now they're more, I don't know, they've always been taking a very different approach.
Sure.
And I think just the overall, are we counting the Corolla Cross? Does that count?
I don't know. I don't know. Look, the CRV technically was a variant of the Civic, right? Kind of.
Sort of. I don't think it
chassis.
ever like wore the Civic name.
No.
You wouldn't call an Integra a Civic, even though they shared a lot of parts early.
Right.
I don't know. I think I'm going Corolla. There were more variations.
Yeah, for me, Civic,
Corolla
just
all
because.
track.
That's true.
With the wagon.
That is right. I just went. The Civic has the Type R, which is wonderful. Like a really probably the best front wheel drive car ever conceived at this point, performance wise. Kind of
Potentially.
ridiculous what it does, like in any kind of testing. The SI has always been a good car ever since the EG.
Right
SI.
now, if you got to have like money is no object, if somebody was just handed you like, hey, you get to pick a new, what would you rather have, a new like Corolla GR or a Civic Type R?
I think I
What
go
would you
Civic
do?
Type R.
See, I think I want the Corolla.
The GR is cool. It's super
These cylinder
new.
noises.
The new Type R is better looking than the old one. They did
Fair.
a good job
Yeah,
cleaning that up.
I absolutely agree
That
with that.
6-speed manual, you know it's going to be better in the Honda. You know it's going to be a better feeling
Yeah,
manual.
it's gonna feel better for sure.
It's just the pedigree. I don't know.
Carbon
And
fiber
Type R
roof.
is like forbidden, right? Because we never got the Type R until that latest iteration.
Well, when's the last time we had like a rally inspired, quote unquote, for lack of a better way to put it, like Toyota?
Celica All-Track, right?
Yeah, and so 30 years ago?
Yeah.
That left the market 30 years ago.
Whereas Honda was always front-wheel drive, man.
Yeah,
Kept it real.
yeah.
Except for the aforementioned S2000. but that's
S2000,
coming up probably
NSX,
a little bit.
kind of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man, when they did switch from front-wheel drive, they kind of nailed it, though, each time.
they did.
Let's be honest.
They did.
But in this matchup, yeah, I got to go with that. I also like the CRX. I think that was a game changer.
CRX was fun.
Yeah.
That was interesting because it's again, that was sort of a Civic parts bin special that
It
shared
was.
a lot with the Civic, like a lot of the Civic lights and
Didn't the early one
wheels
say
and things
Civic
like that.
CRX on them?
Correct. Yeah.
So
And so that was their approach for like the fun tossable commuter. Versus Toyota said, hey, we'll do the same parts bin treatment, but we'll make a mid-engine car. And they did the MR2.
true.
And those were their own. They kind of two different approaches to the same theory. Honda leaned more economy than sporty, but then you still had the SI.
Yeah, because you could get the HF, which was like the fuel economy minded CRX, and then you could get, of course, the SI with that ripping 1.6.
Yep.
VTEC, baby. Also VTEC, right? Let's be real. VVTi doesn't sound
it's
as
not
cool.
the same thing. Yeah,
no.
VTEC kind of was like the standard bearer for that Vario cam. I guess or like
when it kicks in, yeah.
Yep. Yo.
Dude.
Yo.
Daily duty.
What about do we just go right to the midsize then?
Oh, you're going to do a Accord versus Camry?
Accord versus Camry.
I think that one's even tighter because they didn't have the crazy variation that the Civic and Corolla did, in my opinion.
Yeah, they were very much
Not counting Cross Tour.
right, not counting cross tour, and then in the one thing is Accord for really most of its entire run offered coupe.
Yeah, true.
Where
Camry did too,
for an
Solara.
hour. Yeah, they had the Solara,
First and second gen.
and then you could get a coupe in the 92 to 97, 96 generation.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a coupe and a wagon.
Right.
You get a wagon Accord in a couple of different generations. I don't know.
Ooh,
I
that's
might
tough.
go. What's funny because I'm traditionally am much more a Toyota centric human being.
Right.
However, I think on this one, based on the coupe offerings, and for so long the
Dude.
Accord was far more sporting, I gotta go Accord.
Manual-
I think.
Okay. Manual transmission. Honda Accord. Way more offerings with a manual.
Correct.
Right. All the way up until they just axed it.
Like now.
Yeah. They just axed it again. And I mean, it came on in 2003 was the first time. You could always get a 4-cylinder. They even paired it with the V6. We know how that goes. That was a
Yeah.
good combination. Toyota, it was really rare. What, mid-90s was the end of manual Camrys? With
I think you can get one. I think you could get one as late as like 05,
With a
06, somewhere in there.
V6 though?
Not with a V6,
Yeah,
though. It's
correct.
only like the poverty edition. Or,
Honda
like,
put it on their
base
performance ones,
model,
which was
yeah.
nice.
Yep.
And there was like the Honda Accord Sport. You could get a really good, I think it was like a detuned Type R Civic 2-liter turbo with a manual.
Sure. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm giving Honda the edge in that fight.
More,
Hard
just more
one, though.
soul.
Yeah, agreed.
TRD. You want the TRD? The
new
TRD Camry,
Oh
bro.
boy, 305 horsepower. I mean,
It's no TRD Avalon, but
same engine.
it is.
Like, with
it's
like
the
an
same
extra
car,
about
just like
500
a
pounds.
couple, a little girthier.
Little
Yeah.
LBs. Yeah, good call out there. Honda again.
Doing it.
Yeah.
What
Let's
else?
keep a track of all this. So I did MPG Madness.
Ooh, so like the straight.
Fuel economy cars here, and in my mind, I grabbed Prius and I grabbed Insight.
You
The long
would grab
runners.
Insight.
I would grab it right by the first the first gen manual transmission.
That's right. That's exactly right by the
right way to do it.
Right by the shaft. And when you're famous, they let you do it. But the boy, I think.
Yeah, who do you pick in this one, man? I want to hear your thought process.
I mean, in a way, the Prius is like the people's car.
It's the king,
right?
Yeah. Boy, it does it well.
Now the cats are getting jacked left and right, and they are a great appliance, but like
no soul.
Speaking of no soul, yeah.
Fair. Every generation
versus the Insight, the original Insight with a manual is like slow as hell, but it's
cool.
It's silly, it's cool, it's
built in a special plant. It's 2-seater only, cool gauge cluster.
Aluminium intensive.
Yeah. Aerodynamic intensive too. Like the back wheels are half covered. The only thing is every generation after the first gen Insight kind of is bland and Prius-like. They even started to look like the Prius.
The current Insight, is it just like a plug-in hybrid? Is that what it is?
Is that only?
Or is it just straight up hybrid? But it's like kind of
remember. I think they have an offering.
It kind of looks like an Accord.
It's no Honda Clarity in the looks department.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
Gotta be the ugliest car ever.
Are those? Can you pick those up cheap? I don't even know. You know what? That's where we miss.
Refuel that.
That's where we miss on the polishing turds episode of like how do you make like a 2021 Honda Clarity?
How much do we hate each other?
Yeah. How do you chrome wrap real tree?
I don't know what you do. I don't. God.
Stance Nation.
Yeah, you got to do something.
But I think.
Jeez.
I think for the mission statement of the vehicle, I think Prius wins.
Prius wins. Also, so I said the same thing. First gen Insight with a manual all day. But after that first gen, the second gen Insight, MPGs dropped pretty sharply because they put a back seat in. They made it more livable, right? The first one was totally a mileage grinding commuter weapon.
It was too focused. Yeah, which was which is cool and which is good, but there's a reason why. I mean, shoot, people aren't even buying like sedans and cars anymore. People are buying SUVs and such, and so
versatility, right?
That's right.
But that Prius got better each generation with fuel economy.
Right.
So Honda took a step back, try to be more like a Prius, but can't beat them at their own game.
No.
So I give Toyota the nod in this matchup for sure. But that first gen Insight's always going to be a peach.
I agree. What about all about?
Let's hear it.
Ooh, here's an interesting one I just kind of thought about on the fly here. Convertibles. Toyota certainly has more convertibles.
Yeah.
Honda has what? Kind of two. And they're really the same car. One is like the early like S600, S800s from like the 60s and 70s. And then the S2000.
Right. Unless you're counting the first gen like CRV where you can kind of pull the roof. We can pull the roof off the back.
Or like a Del Sol. Like doesn't... It's sort of...
The flat window in the back.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot, when we're talking Civic, we forgot about the Civic Del Sol.
Del Sol's cool. Yeah,
Civic
even
Del
more
Sol.
points for my argument.
Put a Jackson Racing supercharger kit on it they had for those? I had a buddy with one of those in high school.
The 1.6 by itself was a good engine. Yeah. Same as the CRX.
But then Toyota had a bunch of convertibles, right? You can get convertible Celicas.
You're going to say Solara.
Solara.
First gen looks good. I like the first gen over the second gen big time.
RAV4. You can get your convertible RAV4.
That's coming up for me.
Paseo convertible. I think when it was out, it was like the cheapest convertible you can buy.
It's cheap in a lot.
However, so Toyota, you have way more convertibles. But I think every single one of their convertible offerings was inferior
to the S2000.
To the S2000. The S2000. It's like Honda was like, okay, well, yeah, we'll give you a convertible, but we'll make it like this fantastic, like Halo project. So I think I gotta go. And would you go? What about like an IS 350C? The Lexus or the SC430.
Well, we can't do Lexus technically because we're not doing Acura products.
Well, we've been talking a bunch of NSX.
True.
I think we got to include that.
Okay, if we do that, yeah, Lexus had SC430.
Yep, SC430.
Oh boy.
LC500 convertible.
God, it's a good looking car.
I like it so much. I
I
like convertibles.
That yellow.
Yeah, I like convertibles. That car looks so good in a coupe though. Anyways, I think Honda wins the convertible battle, even though they only have like 1.5 convertible.
God, I feel like you were gonna go hardcore Toyota on me through this whole competition. And
I'm not. I'm going the other way on this.
This is interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the same. I think the S2000 built from the ground up as a convertible that tends to win these kind of competitions, right?
Yeah.
All day. and I'm with you. Here's one we can relate to. This is in our territory. Speaking of the NSX, let's do it. Historical sports car, best offering, and I pitted NSX versus Supra. So it's going to be Mark IV Supra versus the NSX.
I like that matchup. Can I give a healthy nod to what I think is actually Toyota's best sports car?
MR2?
2000 GT.
Yeah.
It's so, like, the rarity is extreme. It's such, like, the original... It's like Japanese's Halo car. Not even just Toyota. Like,
we did not... They were...
We got 57 or something?
Like
56?
To, like, really say it, though? That's like way lower than a homologation special, right?
And I genuinely don't know. How many LFAs did we get?
Boy, they were very special. They were all spoken for. I don't know.
Okay, but for the sake of this discussion, I think you lined up the proper competitors.
Yeah,
because they were in era, like they were they were competitors.
Currently fetching the same prices too.
Kind of, yeah, really, which is crazy.
Just a little bit behind, yeah, but
yeah,
both are up there.
My poster child car, like literally me, a child having a poster, was the Mark IV Supra.
Okay.
And that was I grew up in an '82 Celica GTS and always kind of paid attention to those cars because I liked that car and the evolution of it, and that was just like so dope. And so, yeah, just give me a Imperial Jade Mica Mark IV late run Supra. Turbo, tan leather, 6-speed manual.
That's your choice, huh?
That's the one. And quick aside, I think you can option those cars with chrome wheels, and they actually kind of don't suck.
They didn't look bad.
Chrome wheels suck on everything, except I don't think they're brutally bad on that car.
I liked them with the darker colors, not so much with white. I think the white with the chrome is
that's
that
true.
Didn't do it for me.
And then the gold package, so you have the chrome with the gold.
Too many metals conflicting.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. Super.
NSX is very good.
Gotta go NSX for me because it was the better handler by far.
Sure.
It was actually a track-focused car. A little more pricey out of the box too. But the tech was there. You got mid-engine layout. Not a great sounding engine out of the box. Neither was the Supra, to be honest. Both. Yeah. Well, the aftermarket took care of it, right? Just the lighter weight.
When you overnight your parts from Japan.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? But both so valuable today, man. Either one you chose back in the day, if you held on to it, it's a good buy. I still think, as overpriced as they are, they're both very iconic and they're both very good cars in their own little sphere. But I'm gonna give Honda the nod for that NSX. It's
fair.
It's special.
It's hard for me to fight.
Special.
It's hard for me to fight you on that, but like me personally, the attachment I've had for the Mark IV Supra is, I remember being like 14 or 15. Trying to figure out how I can like bust my ass and save up some money to like be able to buy a then used one. You can get one for like 15, 16, 17 grand.
Right.
Which for what was a 7-year-old just used car, like a 93 turbo with quote unquote high miles.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I gotta take the Supra on that.
In the end, the NSX was more of a pure, because I'm a big like stripped down sports car guy. So no power steering, no ABS, no traction control.
Yeah,
give it to me like that. Give it to me raw, basically.
Yeah. Shimmy, shimmy, ya, shimmy, yo, shimmy, yay.
Yeah.
But like they're very different cars.
Very different.
The Supra is much more like a GT car.
Yep. 100%.
But boy, I don't know. They're both fantastic.
Icons. Yeah.
They're both icons.
You win either way, basically.
Trucks? No, I don't know.
That's a good one. I thought about that too, and I just.
How about this?
Does Honda even have it?
Well, Ridgeline.
I mean, that's not body on frame, though, my friend.
Correct. Well, how about this? What Toyotas and trucks, the whole truck line, pickups, SUVs, the works, versus, because effectively Honda doesn't have that. But you know what Honda has that Toyota doesn't? Motorcycles.
Oh, okay.
So this is off script, but like
this is interesting.
Like what's more important? Toyota and their line of trucks versus Honda and its probably its effectively 100-year-old damn near history of motorcycles and racing heritage. And
I mean,
I wonder if you line them up, like what makes more money globally?
Well, here's what I gotta say is,
I bet you Bikes does.
Does Toyota make a good truck? And the argument is, it was Silverado F-150 forever.
Right.
And to break into that, probably one of the highest barriers of entry for any kind of automobile would be to break into the American truck market.
The full-size truck market.
Yeah,
To boot.
Tundra.
Yeah.
Tundra's a killer. Tacoma's very popular. And then we have to talk about Forerunners and Land Cruisers.
Correct.
Absolute icons in
Absolute
off-roading.
icons.
And just vehicles altogether. But Honda, boy, motorcycles.
The most
CBRs.
The most well-selling mode of transportation in the history of human beings is the Honda Super Cub.
Got to give it Toyota, though, in this one. I think their truck line, breaking into a market that a Japanese maker breaking into America's truck market, and actually,
Honda would not exist if it wasn't for motorcycles. They were a motorcycle company.
Yeah,
they genuinely would not exist.
But here in the States, I think worldly, yes, motorcycles way more present. America, we don't use motorcycles nearly as much as the rest of the world.
Yeah, not the same. I mean, they're known as like a sport bike manufacturer here versus other chunks of the world. They're
purely commuter.
I mean, again, the Super Cub, they've sold however many 100 million or something insane.
Man, Toyota just breaking into the truck market, actually doing very well. Yeah. And all the other SUV offerings still kind of killing it.
Watch out, here comes that Ridgeline, bro.
Yeah, oh boy.
Careful.
Or the Pilot.
I will say, I think everyone who has a Ridgeline is just like, this is the greatest truck ever made. You're dumb. Why would you own anything else? Like,
sure, that's fair.
This is it.
I just don't like how they look. But
the second gen ones, I think, are way better.
They clean them up a little bit, yeah.
I think they look way better.
I'll still take a Tacoma or Tundra over.
Sure.
Right?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I guess that's true. What other categories do we gotta knock out? What do we got?
Crossover fight. Everything's crossovers. These two vehicles are going
rock fight.
Amazingly.
I mean, they're some of the original crossover makers.
That's what I'm saying. The nameplate is
true,
still
like the
here
CUV.
fighting. RAV4, CRV.
And boy,
this is tough.
But boy, have those evolved over the years.
Would we call it an
so
evolution? Because we love the originals, man.
Yeah, the originals were
either one. Wow.
Were like little kind of. There was a certain whimsy to the first gen.
Right.
Of both of those, the RAV4 and the CRV.
Like today, sea of crossovers out there. They all look pretty much the same. They're all cut the same design, language. But we go back, both of these were actually what we'd call rad-ass vehicles because they all had removable tops, manual transmission options.
Is that what RAV stands for?
2 doors.
Rad-ass vehicle?
You think?
The RAV for RAV4?
We figured it out.
Ta-da!
And 4-wheel drive is an option.
I think it's like recreation active vehicle or something
yeah,
like that.
something like that.
Yep.
Same with CRV. I think it was like that too. Like
now it's just like HRV. Like they're just made up.
Yeah.
CHR. They're fake.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. Where do you go with this one though? This is a real tough one.
I think okay. So I think I'm gonna go. Boy, it is tough. I think I go RAV4.
The whole history of the vehicle.
And I think I go whole history. Yeah, because. So first off, the first gen to first gen. I think a first gen CRV. I like the interiors a little bit better. That the cloth on those seats it holds up very well.
Pretty sturdy.
It's a little bit more soft touch. I've driven those both in a manual and automatic. I like the automatic is like the column shift.
Yeah.
Which I like in a lot of like that kind of stuff.
It's kind of cool.
I think they drive better. However, getting a 2-door with a 4x4 is kind of cool. I think those are incredibly cool, a 2-door first gen RAV4. So I give that the RAV4. And then as you go through the years, it was always you can get the RAV4 Sport in that third gen with the 2GR FE V6, the 3.5 liter. It was a good power plant, made good power. I think for a time that was Toyota's fastest production car. Was the RAV4 Sport.
Yeah, when they went through
the
that
dark
lull
ages.
there,
And the CRV had always just kind of been just powerful enough to get by, not as I don't know. I take RAV4 in that.
The CRV was literally a Civic crossover, right?
Yeah.
Like, but
the Rallycross, if you will.
Yeah, and I won't. The RAV4 looked a little weirder. The first gen, which I like.
Yes.
A very unique looking vehicle. They had some cool interior patterns. I agree with you. The fabric wasn't as strong, and both the dashes, both of them could crack pretty bad.
Yeah.
But today, I'm going to go ahead and say I think the RAV4 is more interesting because you can get a TRD RAV4, my friend.
Can you right now?
You could.
Can you go in?
Of recently.
Well, I guess. Now you've got the RAV4 Prime,
the
right?
plug-in Prime,
which is like 0 to 60 in like 5.5 or something.
Yes. There's more variants. just the TRD is cool. But yeah, I think the RAV4 longer success. CRV now is just kind of like an old Pilot when you think about it, right? It kind of looks like it.
Yeah, a little extra roundy, and it's been pretty pedestrian kind of forever. There hasn't been any.
So Toyota gets
super exciting,
funny, man.
They get your goat.
You too, right?
Yeah,
agreement on that one. Okay,
we're raving it.
So wait, we both agreed Toyota wins the crossover fight. That might be the most hotly contested. Thing.
I don't know.
Right
That's the thing with these two manufacturers is they both
good.
They're kind of like in similar weight classes for every single product that they make.
Right.
They're all very good. They're all very desirable. They've all taken slightly different approaches, really, to the same problem at the same times, including. I'm gonna go. I keep pulling things out of my rectum here that are like far more off script.
Yeah.
Than I was anticipating. And we mentioned Honda Honda to Acura and Toyota to Lexus before. Who did the entry into the luxury world better?
I think
Acura or Lexus.
I think we
AKA
agree.
Honda versus Toyota.
I think we agree on this, even though Acura wins for initiative, right? First shot fired. They were the first Japanese luxury brand to come across, and we're pitting the Vigor against the LS400. In this case?
No, that would be you're talking Legend. Legend was their flagship.
Legend versus LS400.
Yeah, the Vigor is more like would be more like their GS, like their intermediate.
Their tech heavy,
sporty, tech heavy intermediate.
Fair enough. So LS400 has to take it, my friend.
LS400, yeah, or just even. However, I would say Acura did the entry level better with the Integra, right? Because the only thing you had was a rebadged Camry initially, the ES250,
right?
Which was very different, and then the ES300 was actually, in a lot of ways, more like a Legend sedan.
You could get a manual with an ES300, early one.
You could, yeah, up until 94, 93, 94.
Yeah, two-tone also.
Yeah, I'm right there. I think Lexus went, and then you get farther down the road, you've got yes, the original NSX is something to be proud of.
Absolutely.
That's really that and the Integra Type R.
Yeah, all the Integras.
Those are heavy
GSRs
hitters.
Were fantastic. The first gen GSR was absolutely fantastic.
Those are sweet.
God, talk about a rare vehicle.
Yeah, completely impossible to find. Yeah. But the overall mission, kind of like when I was talking about the Prius, I think did its mission statement better, especially when you look at today. I think Lexus achieved its mission better,
crushing it,
than Acura. Now, it's not to say Acura didn't have some cool stuff.
They did along the way.
They had some incredibly cool stuff.
You got to see an RDX type SH with the turbo, kind of a cool little crossover.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Those would get no love. They get 0 miles a gallon.
RSX Type S.
Yeah,
there's TSX with a manual was pretty cool.
Sure, TSS Sport Wagon. But then you go Lexus and you're like, okay, you've got the entire IS series, ISF, IS300 with a manual, Sportback with an automatic. You've got the entire GS line, which was cool.
Yep. GS 450H, performance hybrid.
Yeah, you've got that. The absolute, you want to talk about setting the stage on crossover stuff. The Lexus RX.
Still, I think the research
from day one.
40% of all Lexus badged vehicles sold today are an RX.
And how many of those are still on the road? They're everywhere.
Every one of them.
They all have deep into the 200,000 miles, and they're still plugging along. Dare I say, that's the greatest of both of those manufacturers. Not in fun or sporting, but just achieving success in its niche.
Yeah, good looking.
The entire RX line.
Good looking, quality interiors, right? Super reliable.
Yeah. They're comfy, they're quiet, they're as reliable as a brick.
So the first generation, you could get that metallic tint on the windows.
Yeah,
God, that looks good.
With the clear lens taillights, the Altezas, if you will.
So nice. Bubble butt, but and they just redesigned the RX this year, so that's kind of cool. Getting a turbo engine instead of the V6 that they've been running, that 3.5 V6 for freaking ever.
Good motor.
Good motor though.
What else between these two? Titans of industry.
Modern sports cars. Who's doing it? Honda or Toyota? This is a tough one.
Define sports car, I guess, right?
We have to flex a little bit because Honda doesn't have a true modern sports car right now. They have the Civic Type R, probably the closest thing they have to an all-out sports car.
Is the NSX still in production technically?
I don't think so.
Because I know they had their Type S, and then that was kind of the swan song. And I don't know. Like, if you walk into a dealership, can you be like, get me one, and they'll get you one?
I mean, that's a different. Yeah, I mean, I was going purely Honda and Toyota in this case. But here's the argument, right? You've got the Civic Type R, and then of course Toyota with the Supra and the GR86, which I'd say. Sure. But here's my asterisk there is Toyota wins, even though it's sporting a BMW and a Subaru.
That's kind of funny. That's what I mean. Is it's just like, you know, well, we're not going to count Acura or Lexus because it's not like, technically the brand, but those are actually made by the manufacturers versus the other cars aren't.
It's tough,
but I get it. I mean,
with that badge though. I mean, you can't.
No, I get it. I think with the badge, the current second gen, you know, GR80s, whatever we're calling it now.
Yeah, GR86, right?
Yeah. It like every 2 years it changes. The Scion. The new Scion, that's such a universally known as being a good car, and at its price point,
it's a good car.
Because what you get, like the 2 trim levels, and the base trim level is like $28,000 or something.
Yeah, and you get, what is it now?
You can't get anything for $28,000.
Well, the power's up too. They took care of that torque dip. They did all kinds of good stuff there.
Boy, if it had a back seat, I would be really. I mean, it has a back seat. It
has
a usable back seat.
Well, sports car, right?
Yeah.
We're talking sports
if it had like
cars.
if it had a more usable back seat, it would be really difficult for me to not. Can you imagine if they made like a hot hatch version without that powertrain in it, rear-wheel drive,
super
hot hatch?
Cool. Yeah, it'd be super cool. I mean, who would have pictured like Toyota having 2 sports cars going right now?
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Because
I think that's what I'm doing.
They took some time off there for a while.
They did.
But yeah, I'm with you. Toyota gets that one.
How about just real quick, LFA versus the new NSX Type S?
LFA.
Yeah, that's kind of an
no-brainer. Too special. Sounds too good.
Yeah.
V10 revving at what?
Obscenely expensive.
Yeah, fuck it.
But you know, money is no object, I suppose.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Gotta go with LFA.
What are we missing?
Are we missing anything
on the table? Minivan fight?
That's a tough one, isn't it?
Previa, let's go.
Oh, you're going Previa, okay.
Let's want to go Isuzu Oasis.
I thought Sienna versus Odyssey would probably be their big ones.
Yeah, and I think, boy, I mean, I personally, I'm Team Sienna for several reasons.
Of course you are, yeah.
You know, the new ones are all hybrid. You get all-wheel drive as an option forever.
It's pretty wild.
Versus, you know, there's nothing wrong with an Odyssey.
Yeah.
They ate up transmissions for a chunk of time, like late 90s to like 2004, 5-ish.
Quirky and weird when they first came out, kind of cool.
Yeah, the first gen Odyssey was pretty cool because it was really just a bloated Civic wagon.
It was, yeah. Oh boy, well I feel like we went back and forth quite a bit.
I know. Should we have been keeping score, like tally marks?
I kept score on mine. So my categories that I presented, I had Toyota winning 3-2.
Okay.
On that one, and then I think you popped some in there.
Yeah, I threw some random stuff like Lexus versus Acura or trucks versus motorcycles, like stuff that kind of not inconsequential because it's good for the brand.
I still think I leaned on Toyota when you presented those. So I'd say overall, I got to give Toyota the longevity edge, even though Honda had some big wins in there. For me, I think Toyota wins this grudge match. And how about you?
I think so too.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just for me. I personally, if I had to pick a single manufacturer that would be my favorite manufacturer in the history of automobiles, probably Toyota. Yeah. So that's kind of no surprise there. But I don't know. I think every single generation of cars that Honda has put out, there's been tried and true, legitimate standouts.
Yep.
That are impossible. I know we mentioned it. We didn't talk Prelude enough. Preludes are cool.
We didn't talk Prelude. What's the analog for that for Toyota?
It was really Celica, but really that whole time Prelude would basically steal its lunch money, with the exception of the maybe early Prelude, late 79 was the first year of the Prelude, and then Celica beat it.
Versions though.
They did,
right?
Which died off in 93, and right about 93 is when you first started getting your VTEC.
True.
Your VTEC, because 92, was it 92 or 93? Was the first year of the VTEC Prelude.
That's right. The SI.
And those carried the day for quite some time.
When they died, the Celica GTS with the 2ZZ came out.
Right.
It was a pretty good little sports car.
Yeah, that was 2001.
Right. Late in the game.
Yeah, it was late in the game. and then it died
It
off.
was like Toyota sports car for that period, correct?
Those need to come back. We need to bring the Celica name and the
I
Freight
would.
name.
I've been looking. They're kind of hard to find clean ones. Let me tell you.
Which ones?
The
Freight-
Celica GTS.
Yeah, you could find them. It'll have boatload of miles of being automatic.
Horrible
And
condition too. Yeah, because they got dirt cheap, right? They were like $2,000 for the longest
Yeah,
time.
seats are all torn up.
Game over.
But
Awesome.
okay, well, I think if we need to craft some sort of trophy that we need
do.
to pass this back and forth to, and we'll just mail it. We'll just mail it to like Toyota USA headquarters.
Sure,
And,
yeah.
Is that like Fontana?
I think they need more
Where do you
trophies too. They're kind of down on
They
trophies.
yeah,
right?
well, it'll be made of like like popsicle sticks and
Tinfoil.
hot glue. Yeah, and we'll mail it to them, and they'll be very appreciative, I think.
Here's the thing though, like Toyota and Honda fighting back and forth through time, and it's always been a grudge match between them.
Yes.
Would we have the quality in these great cars if one or the other didn't exist? And I don't think so. I think we needed Toyota to
True.
go against Honda, vice versa, to create both these juggernauts that we have
That's
today.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's it. We got to build
good job.
a
guys.
rivalry.
Yeah, good job. Good execution.
Oh boy.
You want to celebrate with a quiz? Is that what you want to do, my friend?
I do, and I never remember the order. I think you're about to
I'm about
quiz
to
all
you,
over
my
me,
friend.
right?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Why don't you
So let me-
explain the rules to
I
our
will. I'm going to
our
close my
listeners?
laptop for the sake of transparency, because we are about to play our print ad quiz game, which is still a terrible name. One day we're like what, going to be 70 plus episodes in here before we know it, and we still don't have a proper name for the damn thing. What's going to happen is Chadwick will pick an automotive print ad from a magazine or whatever from the 80s, 90s to early 2000s, and he's going to read the print copy for that advertisement. It will then be upon me to guess, up to 3 guesses, of what the make, model, and preferably close to a year that this particular vehicle that the ad is discussing is about. I get 10 minutes. And based upon that, we will just go into the thick of it. And the clock will actually start once Chadwick is done reading said print copy. I'm ready. I'm ready to field this. Are you ready?
I'm ready. This is actually a challenging one. This is one of those
boy.
ads where they say the make and model like 50 times. So I got to really catch myself on this one. There's a lot of font here. So we have a photo of the vehicle up in the upper, I say, third of it.
Sure.
And then this thing is rife with photographs. So there's random call-outs, random photos throughout. But let me get through. We got a lot to read here. Behold. A rugged off-road four-wheel drive beast that acts civilized on the road. Shift our new blank into two-wheel drive, and it cruises around town like a sporty car.
Oh, wow.
It's roomy, seats 4 comfortably, and it's loaded with creature comforts.
Okay.
Used comfort twice in the same sentence. I'm not in agreement with that.
Oh, boy.
Um,
Feature.
But more about the beauty later. First, let's examine the beast.
Ooh. I've heard that before.
Where does it go? Just about anywhere it wants to. Mud, snow, hills, or gullies.
Oh, gullies.
Ever popular
Fern gully, perhaps?
Yeah, Fern gully. You found a dinosaur in there. You name it. The blank tames it. Oh, that's a good one.
The blank
You name it,
tames
I'll tame it.
That's right.
That's a good line. In its four-wheel drive mode, there's a low gear that will haul you up a hill, and a high gear for quick and nimble going in sticky snow or loose dirt. Super low gearing provides blank with super climbing ability, and its wide track allows it to traverse steep terrain. Town or country, this animal goes just about anywhere. From steel top to solid box type frame and protective steel skid plates, the blank is well built, like a gorilla.
Oh, boy.
Tech specs incoming. Gutsy, 2.6 liter, 105 horsepower engine is the biggest 4-cylinder power plant we offer.
They offer, okay.
In the world.
In the world.
So it won't back down in the backwoods. Yet, it's smooth and quiet in the concrete jungles. Because unique, I don't want to give away that one, blanks reduce vibrations, because that was a specific term.
Sure.
Beefy independent front suspension with torsion bars smooths out unbeaten paths. Or roads that have gone to potholes.
Ooh.
And the power-assisted front disc will stop a gorilla in its tracks. We got a lot of reading to do here. Fold down the rear seat. This will give it away. Fold down the rear seat and the blank becomes a beast of burden.
Ooh.
Sporty front bucket seats recline, and the passenger seat tilts forward for easy rear seat access. Cargo tie-downs come standard. Check your list if that's what you're looking for. All right. Easy to see out of. Oh, whoops, sorry. The blank is easily, this is very questionable wording, woman-handled, thanks to variable assist power steering. I shit you not. Easy to see out. This is part of the reason I picked this. Woman-handled. Yes, woman-handled. Easy to see out of. This might give you a timeline, too.
This is a timeline?
To a high top and tinted glass. Easy to shift thanks to a sporty 5-speed manual overdrive transmission.
Yeah, okay. For which even a mere woman can handle.
Some
good night.
And it's easy to look at thanks to a nifty 2-tone paint job and 15-inch stylish spoke-type wheels and all-terrain radial tires. And it's standard thanks to blank. So here's some more lists, just real quick.
Yeah.
Comes loaded with the standard features like a 2.6 liter, 105 horsepower engine.
Yes.
5-speed
the
manual.
largest four-cylinder that they offer.
5-speed manual overdrive.
Yes.
Independent front suspension with torsion bars. Blah, blah, blah. Everything else I mentioned.
Yes.
So just to recap. So for your nearest dealer call, and I'll leave the number out because I know you've memorized those like some kind of freak.
Yep.
Frank, I'm sorry. There's a lot there, a lot of questionable terminology, but
no, it's okay. It helps.
Not at all borderline sexist.
It helps illustrate a bygone era, and for many reasons.
I'm going to start a 10-minute timer as you figure out what we're working with today.
Okay, so a few things jump out. Obviously, it mentioned a boxed frame, so it's a body-on-frame construction, high-low transfer case, 5-speed manual. I didn't hear a door count specifically, but if it seats 4 comfortably, I'd like to think it's a 4-door. In a 2.6 is relatively unique. It could be like a first-gen Mitsubishi Montero, perhaps, because I believe you can get that with a 2.6. You can could also maybe be an early Isuzu Trooper, which I think you can get with a 2.6.
Which one was gutsy though?
They were both pretty. 105 horsepower.
Gutsy. It's all about the torque, which probably wasn't that much higher.
I can't think of anything domestic with a 2.6 4-cylinder. So it wouldn't be like a first gen Explorer, and it wouldn't be a Bronco 2 or anything like that. Initially, when you first started rattling it off, I was like maybe AMC Eagle, but it's definitely not an AMC Eagle. With a two-tone paint job, and I'm picturing the early Montero wheels were a spoke-ish type wheel, the available alloys. I'm going to say this is a first gen. Let's call it a 1980. Let's call it a 1986 Mitsubishi Montero, and I almost want to say maybe you blanked out that it had some bespoke balance shaft when you were talking about the engine.
I love those Mitsubishi balance shafts.
Right. Yeah, all about the shaft. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to say we're working with a 1980, let's call it 87 Mitsubishi Montero. Final answer, Bob.
Achieve Mitsubishi Montero. It takes you where you've never been before.
Oh, is it a beast?
Yeah, you got it, baby. You got it.
Boy.
With 7.5 minutes to spare, I felt bad about not tricking you up on the Riata last time, so here you go, baby.
I want to see this very wordy ad. Okay, yeah, and is it so that is? Oh, and it's a 2-door. It is a 2-door.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, look at that grill badge, man. Huge,
damn good looking vehicle.
I'm just
very trooperish, though. You're right.
But it's what's interesting is that early badge where you've got like the Mitsubishi logo off center. It's like not at all. The whole grille is completely asymmetrical.
Yeah, well, you had to have the Mitsubishi symbol there.
Just right? Enormous.
Walking radiator.
Yeah, look at that.
Cool.
When's the last time you saw a clean one of those?
It's been a while. These things rusted like it was no one's business, right?
Yeah.
And then
returned to the earth.
Kind of a dog of an engine.
Hey, it's gutsy, okay? Did you hear all the beast and gorilla?
It was the biggest engine
they
had at the time. It's a big 4-cylinder, 2.6, right?
Yeah, when did they offer a 6-cylinder in those? Because they did in the first gen, but I think it was like late run, and I don't know if it was maybe only for the. I don't know if you can get it in a 2-door.
I can't. Oh, that's a good question. Or
the
with a
6-cylinder,
manual.
the 3-liter.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Man, talk about outsourcing that engine. Everybody got a Mitsubishi 3-liter at one
That's
point,
right. We got motors for sale. We call Mitsubishi Motors, kid.
I had to put it in there because I know we love Mitsubishi, and this is like probably the most iconic. Even though some of the later Monteros still, I always thought the Monteros looked great. You know,
Yeah.
Even when they were like huge bloated Land Cruiser competitors with $50,000
Still,
price
there's
tags.
still such a bargain.
Yeah,
like you go buy a third
now?
gen Montero now, you get it at 40% of the cost of
wild.
like a 100 series Land Cruiser. And is it as nice? No, but it's not that far off.
No, they're cool.
You know,
the gauge,
interiors is cheaper.
the interior treatment though with the gauge cluster was kind of cool,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
you
No,
could get
they're a
that.
good car.
But these 2-doors, the Pajero, anywhere
Uh-huh.
else, right? Was talk about prices right now. Holy smacks, dude! If you want to buy a Pajero, like a nice one,
Yeah, get that Evo.
yeah, money. But yeah, I thought this was a cool one. I can't believe we haven't hit this yet. That a woman could handle it. What did it say?
Easily woman handled. Is that what it said?
Yeah, the Montero is easily woman handled thanks to variable assist power steering. I shit you
Just
not.
easily woman hand. Like I've
Woman
never even
handled.
considered woman handled as like an actual like term. Like
My Johnson is easily woman handled.
true, yeah,
Right?
or
That's like
gentlemanly
one
handled as
context.
well.
Yeah, with kindness.
Exactly.
No, the wording was too good of an ad. You nailed it, buddy. Good job.
Woo! Should we celebrate by abusing? I never remember.
Why
what
don't we
PCP
abuse it? Why don't we use it in moderation?
Just
Can anyone use
is there
PCP
is there
in
I'm
moderation?
gonna say is there actually like can you microdose PCP?
I don't think so.
No?
I think you're full on at that point, right?
I don't know.
You ever done just a quick shot of heroin?
I mean, there's got to be. I mean, people microdose like psilocybin and all kinds of stuff. Can you You can probably. There's probably a way that you can
No.
microdose PCP.
I don't know, man.
Get just to take the edge off.
Just
you
a
know,
little flavor. on
make the
tongue.
lights a little brighter. You know, make you just want to literally jump off a little bit higher of a building than you would normally.
Yeah.
leap
within
off of.
reason, yeah.
Yeah. Fight cops a little bit more aggressively.
Answer in the comments below.
Yeah. Tell us how do you do PCP? You know how we do PCP?
How?
With Project Car Progress.
That's what it
PCP.
stands for this whole
Yes,
time. I thought you guys
know.
were abusing drugs for real.
No,
I thought it was kind of weird.
Yeah. You haven't been doing PCP this whole time?
Have you heard anything we talked about?
So what have you been working on? What have you
Bro,
been doing?
let's talk about that coolant flush on that 300ZX.
Oh yeah,
shall
the
we?
one you were talking about.
I've never-
It was a strange color.
Dude, I've never. So I bought the car. The guy was questionable if it was a head gasket or not.
Okay.
But there's a big difference because oil and water never truly mixes, right? Like you'll get sometimes like a foamy or like milky like looking
Real shaky,
solution,
yep.
but it never fully mixes. And this was straight up reminded me of like the last time I saw this was like in an old Datsun. I think it was a 240Z I looked at where the cooling system had rusted.
Right.
And you get that brown, looks just like coffee.
Yep.
Like there's no like separation. There's nothing.
Iced
it's just
tea.
it's basically rust water.
Right.
Is what it is.
To Java,
And this
delicious
is what it
iced
looked
tea.
like, right? But I'm not about to like let a guy tell me it might not be a head gasket when I'm
Right.
buying a car.
Yeah.
To be honest. But truthfully, I was like, this is easy. Usually you just flush that stuff out.
Maybe once or twice, maybe.
Yeah, a couple good flushes. Put a chemical cleaner in there, run it
Yeah.
through quite a few heat cycles, get everything loosened up. Because what happens is when someone did, in this case, I'm going to say they use tap water.
Right.
Or like an 80%, 20% glycol mix, is you can rust out. Like the heater core can be destroyed, your radiator can be rusted out.
Yep.
Usually it's the radiator where the coolant sits.
Yeah.
But dude, I ran water through the first time, came out just like coffee again. And I'm like, this is not good.
Right.
Right?
All
Through
right.
one
Do it
heat
again.
cycle, it comes out like coffee already. Ran a cleaner through, coffee again.
Sure.
And we're seeing no difference. So at the end of the day, and I did an extra double like cleaner. So I got like, I ran
Okay.
Xerox brand first, then I did the Prestone one, but I doubled the.
Just run pure Drano.
At one point, I was thinking about putting like
Yeah.
just pure brake cleaner through the whole system. That would have been fun.
That'd be good.
I'm sure that's great for your seals. But after I did that one, it started to and I got a lot of sediment. That's the other sign it's not a head gasket. If you have
Right.
chunks of actual rust coming
Goodies.
out,
Flavor crystals.
very good. So like, I'm gonna be honest, 20 flushes. So
20?
I 20 kept track.
Oh boy. Good thing we're not in a drought anymore.
On the 20,
allegedly.
Well, I was using distilled water, so it was super pricey.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's coming out now like just a hint of brown, like a little like light tea. It's like the Le Croix of like coolant flushes.
So at that point, you could probably put a few thousand miles on it and then probably reevaluate if you wanted to.
Right. Don't even need to. If I run the correct mixture, like a 50-50, there is like that restorative stuff in a good like good modern coolant. It'll take care of it. The deposits won't. They'll be reduced. They won't create new stuff. So. Holy shit, dude!
Can you just run straight pour 15 through the instead of coolant?
It'll like
rust converter.
Yeah, it's just, dude. I don't know what to say, man. At one point I did take the radiator and just run the garden hose through it because there was so much sedimentation. At that point, it didn't make sense.
Flip it upside down and just run it.
I just blew it straight through on high pressure, and I took like the bottom hose off. And it was still like coming out brown. So
what can brown do for you?
It can cause you to waste a lot of water and time.
That's right.
But it was a pain in the ass because you heat cycle it, then you got to let it cool, drain, blah, blah, blah.
Fun.
We should be good now, man.
All right.
On to you. That was the night of a million flushes, and I didn't even eat Taco Bell.
Hey, speaking of
Project Car Progress.
Relatively simple fixes, because that's a simple fix. It's a time-consuming fix.
Super time-consuming,
but it's just like...
You start to doubt yourself after like 12 flushes.
Oh, God.
Though.
Yeah, exactly. It's like... Then you start like, is it actually getting better, or am I like
hallucinating? Is that fresh oil coming out?
Yeah, right. So the stupid Civic Daily has had this little. It's had this little like annoying rattle.
Yeah, you said that last time. You said it was.
Or it's just like
quite bothersome.
Yeah, like at kind of low RPMs and just accelerating, and just sounds bad. Now it doesn't sound like it's like a knock, but just like a metal on metal rattling noise.
Never a good noise.
Not a good noise. And it seemed to be coming from the left side, the driver's side of the engine bay.
Okay.
Which is opposite where all of the accessories are.
Oh.
So it's not like there's like a bad belt tensioner or something, even though I think I have that going on too. That's a separate deal. I'm like, what is this, what's rattling? It's not a water pump. I don't know what it is. And it's intermittent. But it's very loud and annoying, and it sounds like things are going to die, but like it's been relatively okay. So I'm poking around the engine bay a couple days ago, and I'm like, what could it be? I'm like poking around, and I look, and there's the little plastic kind of like snap-in grommet that holds the hood prop rod in place on the upper tie bar when it's not in use, was broken. Like it was the two little. It's like a C-shaped thing.
Where it clips right in, right?
It snaps right in it, and one of the little halves of the C was broken and gone into the void. So I go, I was like, could that be it? And it's got a little rubber. It's got like one of those little rubber things like halfway down the arm.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, well, okay, like maybe it's not. It should be resting on that, so it shouldn't be vibrating. I was like, whatever, this is dumb. So I just ordered one off of like Rock Auto for like $3. I got it. I snapped it in place. I snapped that prop rod into it. Guess what? Noise is gone, my friend. It was just a stupid prop rod rattling around on the upper tie bar, like just the right frequency when accelerating, and like it's just madness. But it makes such a difference. I no longer feel like the car's going to grenade at any given time.
I was gonna say, like, how long did you live with that noise?
Oh, dude,
Isn't it the best?
It's been like 8 months.
Why didn't I do this at the beginning?
I was just like going through. I was like,
Just
what could it be?
it.
I'm like poking around, and then I just happened to catch that the prop rod is sitting there. I'm like, could that be it? I don't know. That's dumb.
That's some good diagnostic work, man.
Killed it. Throw a $3 part at it and see what happens.
Shop would have charged you like $1.50 and said it was like a heat shield.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Adjusted the yeah. So and that's kind of all I've done. It's not even project car progress. The only
Big
other
accomplishment though.
Yeah, I mean that, and I know. Did we spend time talking about? I know we mentioned it briefly last time that, like, by the way, I bought a new car. Okay, bye.
We
and
did.
Then
We talked
episode.
about it. We talked about it.
Did we talk about it? I don't even remember. They're all bleeding together.
Yeah, the 924.
Ago, yeah, which we took to and hat tip to our friends over at the DWA podcast. Our friends at Driving While Awesome. If you don't listen to them, where have you gone wrong? How have you gone astray?
Judge yourself
in your
harshly.
life. But they had us super recently as guests on their pod, so hat tip to them, and also hat tip to Lane for giving me grief about my mic discipline. It's now in my head, and I'm going to try and get better at it, so I'm no longer doing
What was
this.
that, Frank?
So yeah, hopefully one day we might even get pseudo professional at this.
Yeah.
But we took the freshly purchased 924 Turbo down there. I had put 3 whole miles on it prior to driving it down to Santa Cruz and back. Yeah, made it without issue. We get there and back. A sweetheart of a little car. Is it slow?
Car.
Yes. Does it look good?
Dude, perfectly hangs
Is it
with modern
comfy?
traffic.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, it's
issue.
There's no issue keeping up with modern traffic. So I don't know. I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do with that car. I have maybe bad intentions, maybe good intentions. I don't know.
Keep the damn thing. It's cool.
Yeah, and so we'll figure out what we're going to do with that car. Tune in to the Driving While Awesome podcast. Listen to those guys because they're good people, they're friends, and we're on their podcast like probably about the same time that this episode's going to drop. Probably relatively within a week or so. That episode will drop.
We give them the APA podcast bump, huh?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, they're going to see their actual podcast have a precipitous drop in listenership now.
There we go.
Due to our actions, and so if you want to continue to put up with us. Feel free to do so. You can follow us along on the Instagrams.
Yeah.
That's at APA Podcast on there. We're also on YouTube if you're not watching at home.
Yeah,
if you are, then hi. We're waving at you right now. If you're not, you can check us out there too. Otherwise,
please
continue
check us out.
Yeah. Otherwise, continue to listen along at your favorite listening device-ing.
That's an industry term.
And do all the review things and the subscribes and all those things.
Please do.
Because it helps us out to maybe one day we'll have some get a lowbrow beer sponsor, not low in brow, but just like a low, a bottom
we
shelf.
Wouldn't say no, yeah.
And then Chadwick, where can you be found?
Yeah, you guys can follow me at Auto Obsessive Garage, mostly on YouTube. Project Rescue Restorations, a lot of turd box stuff in there. Every once in a while, an icon in there. I do car reviews, Instagram too. But how about you, Frank?
Ooh, boy.
Where can the good people follow you at home?
Well, don't follow me at home. That would be much. I prefer to not have people come into my home.
Stop posting your home address on the podcast on YouTube. I gotta stop.
Oh, yeah, that explains
Disregard
it.
That, guys.
But otherwise, yeah, you can track me down digitally. That's at the Photographer's Garage mostly on the Instagram, a splash on the YouTubes, and that's kind of it. That's pretty much how this all goes down. So thank you for being a part of it. Let's do this again sometime, shall we?
Yeah, real soon.
That's it.
All right, thanks again as always, guys. Take care.